This video is about how tech, not government, is your new ruler. I was at a conference last year at which a speaker, to the surprise of the audience, started discussing the latest developments in female sex tech. Smart vibrators are now a thing, apparently. Men too can have their fun and games with oral sex simulators. Both devices employ machine learning to improve their service. This is data taken from the most intimate areas of life. Tech is finding applications in areas and structures never before thought of as tech. Smart contact lenses will help you navigate computer screens, and data will be extracted from everything you see. Microphones embedded in your molars will help you communicate, and every word you say will be recorded and processed. You might be recommended a cough suite if you're sounding croaky. Or, if you're sounding low, you might be recommended the services of a psychologist, or somebody might try and sell you something. But your appropriate speech could be monitored too. A chip embedded in your hand will help you pass through security barriers, to travel on public transport, even to make purchases. And data will be extracted from everywhere you go and everything you buy. Chips in other parts of your body will monitor your heartbeat, breathing, or your blood pressure. Data will be extracted and sent to your doctor or insurer, where it will be compared with data from other patients. There will be sensors in your clothes tracking anything from your temperature to your comfort levels. You might even receive rewards for wearing those clothes in certain situations. There will even be neurosensors connected to your brain, which will extract data from your thoughts. It's a trope of the detective thriller that you learn about a suspect from their rubbish. Smart bins will monitor that as well. There will be sensors everywhere in your house, in your bed, your bathroom, your kitchen and sitting room. A robot companion with high artificial emotional intelligence will keep you company. It will take care of your cleaning, admin and home security too. As it does so, everything will be monitored. Already your social media activity is captured and recorded, your online searches, which perhaps reveal as much about you as anything, have already been captured. Google keeps a record of all your activity. It knows almost everything about you, more than any spiritual leader ever. Gmail knows the emails which you draft but do not send, what you thought but decided not to say. Even your darkest fantasies acted out in augmented or virtual reality will have data extracted from them. There will not only be sensors on your person, but in your means of transport and at your places of work. Cities will have sensors of some kind everywhere in both private and public spaces. In the lamps that light the streets, the lights that guide the traffic, and the devices which monitor the air. Everywhere you go, everything you say, everything you do, asleep or awake, in the real world or the virtual, even what you think will be scrutinized in some way. Every aspect of our lives will have some kind of data extracted. The data is cleaned, organized and processed into information, which is then analyzed and interpreted into knowledge. Our lives will be uncovered and laid bare, even before those to whom we have no accountability. This data will be used in a myriad of different ways to quantify you, to influence you, and to control you. Machines will constantly be sharing information with each other in the Internet of Things using faster than ever 5G systems. By 2020, there were over 20 billion devices connected to the internet. By 2025, 75 billion will be. As machines learn more and more, not only will you be scrutinized, but you will be increasingly quantified and ranked. This will affect decisions about the jobs you're offered, the loan deals you qualify for, the price of insurance you must pay, the level of service you're able to get. Everything will be rateable. Tech will make informed predictions about you, when you're likely to die or become ill, how hard you're likely to work, how well you're likely to do a job, how successful you're likely to be, how faithful you're likely to be to your spouse, how likely you are to commit a crime, how much money you're likely to earn, and whether you're likely to go bankrupt or commit tax fraud. Accurate profiles can be built using qualitative methods such as psychographics. Platforms will not necessarily treat people equally. Those with the right qualities will get better treatment than those without. Machine learning, one company claims, can already predict if a person is a criminal with 90% accuracy using a single photograph of their face. It can predict crime on the basis of circumstantial evidence. The moral implications of predictive probability in fighting crime are considerable. Will people still be presumed innocent if the predictive data suggests otherwise? Your online reputation will be everything. If you knew that every journey, purchase, personal message, political utterance or act of rebellion might be captured and saved forever, and then used to determine your life chances, would you behave the same way, says tech writer Jamie Susskind. When it comes to guiding behaviour, tech is superseding our laws and our social and moral codes. The more you know about someone, the easier it is to influence them. This all has a disciplinary side to it with Orwellian implications. China already closely monitors its 1.4 billion citizens. Algorithms rank them on their behaviour, issuing rewards or punishments where appropriate. Citizens act in certain ways to get their score up. Not all governments will go down this route, but we are still beholden to the platforms which we use. We will be governed not so much by the law of the land, but by the rules of the platform, though often the two will inform each other. The ethical decisions which determine our future will be made less by elected politicians, theologians, or philosophers, and more by those who write code. Take the driverless car. In the event of a crash, do you hit the pedestrians or drive into a wall and risk your own life? Currently, you make such split-second decisions yourself. The driverless car will have such decisions embedded in its code. The Moral Machine Project has conducted an online survey of 40 million people in over 200 countries to get an idea of public preferences. It's generally agreed that cars should aim to save the largest number of lives, prioritising the young. In some countries, there is a preference for saving women over the young, or in others, law-abiding pedestrians over jaywalkers. In others, decisions get more controversial. The healthy are more favoured than the obese, the exec more favoured than the homeless. How will such decisions be made? By parliamentary representatives, by coders, or by public votes and surveys? If code is predicated on the latter, as seems most likely, again, we see a traditional parliamentary process undermined by tech. This is a major change to the way decisions are taken. Code, rather than law, will determine what you can and cannot do. Currently, the law works as a deterrent. If you commit this offence, you risk that punishment, be it a fine or imprisonment. In future, you will not be able to break the law because the code will not allow it. You will not be able to speed on the motorway or park illegally because the code in the vehicle will not allow it. If a law enforcement officer flags you down, you will not be able to drive away because your car will be programmed to stop. You will not be able to skip fares on the bus because automated payments will be taken from your wallet as soon as you get on. Fines, too, will automatically be taken from your wallet if you break the law in some way. The doctor will not be able to proceed in a negligent manner because the code in his equipment means it will not function unless certain protocols are followed. You will not be able to say because there will be blocks which prevent such utterances. or you will lose access to the platform altogether. The reputational damage will affect your possibilities going forward. Digital technology will be increasingly used as evidence. Your whereabouts in any given moment will be known, so will what you were doing. A man in Ohio was recently found guilty of arson because the readings from his pacemaker were not consistent with the increased heartbeat he would have had if his story about waking up to discover a fire were true. Machines can already predict the outcome of litigation with greater accuracy than humans. eBay's digital dispute resolution resolves around 60 million commercial disagreements every year. That is 3 times the number of disputes filed in US courts. Surely it is inevitable that similar systems will be incorporated into the law to lighten the load of the West's overburdened courts. Just as the written word and the printing press changed the way the laws of the land operated, so will code, the language of the future, do the same. Tech will determine what you see, your perception, and thus your opinion. This might be the books or videos which are suggested to you, but there is a darker side. Tech already uses its own powerful platforms to lobby and influence public opinion in favour of its own business interests. We saw that in the lead-up to the US general election, in the way that Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube all no-platformed Donald Trump. Google may not operate piracy sites, but its search engine is the main means by which online piracy sites are discovered. In 2012, it campaigned against the Stop Online Piracy Act, and on the Google homepage, it encouraged users to vote against it. In just 24 hours, 1.8 billion people saw the message, "Tell Congress, don't censor the web." Congressional representatives were bombarded by campaigners. Legislators were held captive. And yet, rather hypocritically, in the lead-up to the US general election, we see all these sites very much acting as censors. Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube can all, if it suits them, no-platform politicians whose views they do not like. You will receive no news or information about such politicians. Any news you do receive will be unflattering. Perhaps you go to hear that politician speak live. AR filters could be used to make sure you hear them in an unflattering way. It is well within tech's power to do this. Some suspect that is happening already. Tech may be enabling us to do 1,000 things we were not previously able to do, and as such, it is a tremendously liberating force. But it is also growing extraordinarily powerful within society, and it is a tremendous threat to individual liberty and privacy. As it betters government systems, it could soon be more powerful, if it isn't already. The power dynamic in society has changed. The conflict is not so much tech versus human, as humans who control tech versus those that don't. This is the future we are heading into. Large tech companies operate in the interests of their management and owners. Government, at least in theory, exists for its people, yet here is the paradox. The tech company aims for market share to get more users. To do that, it gives the users the best possible service. The service people get from tech is often better than that which they receive from government. From healthcare to transport to education to crime and social order, tech is bettering state systems. In many cases, tech is free. The only tax you must pay is your data. It's an example of the old Adam Smith adage, it is not from the benevolence of the butcher, the brewer, or the baker that we expect our dinner, but from their regard to their own self-interest. Perhaps tech is the better governor. The same paradoxical incentive does not exist in representative democracy. There is only the need to win enough swing votes in elections every 4 or 5 years. Citizens cannot take their custom elsewhere. Around 40% of the vote is usually enough to ensure victory. For now, though, talk of one replacing the other is premature. They both need each other. Tech helps the government enforce its laws, collect its taxes, and grow its economies. Large tech needs government for its legitimacy. The two are working together and allying. This is the emerging political balance. Google has an 86% share of global searches. There is a strong case for it to be broken up. The same goes for Facebook, which has a 66% share of social media. Neither will want that. With the threat of antitrust and privacy regulation on the horizon, Google spent more on lobbying in the US last year than any other company. No doubt, such logic was behind Facebook's hiring of former UK Deputy Prime Minister Nick Clegg to be its head of global affairs and communications. Twitter banned Donald Trump on the eve of the ascension of the new Biden administration. Compliance is, generally, the way to stay on side. Google tends to comply with government requests for information. The police do not need to scan Gmail for signs of child pornography. Google does it for them. Anytime such keywords are found, Google automatically reports suspicious activity. Even if government doesn't do the monitoring itself, it can buy the data from third parties. Microsoft, Twitter, and YouTube announced a combined initiative, the Global Internet Forum, to counter terrorism, following years of criticism that they had failed to block extremists on their platforms. Twitter, Facebook, Apple, YouTube, and Spotify all acted within days of each other to ban the conspiracy theorist Alex Jones, and then the UK political activist Tommy Robinson met with a similar fate. Katie Hopkins, Donald Trump, all had huge followings. Their followings were good for these companies' business. The decision to no platform was surely taken for political reasons. But large tech will not always comply, at least not publicly. After the San Bernardino shooting, where 14 people were killed and another 22 injured, the FBI demanded Apple's assistance in unlocking one of the killer's cell phones. Apple said it did not have the means to do this. The FBI demanded Apple write the necessary code to enable it to do so. Apple declined. The issue was taken to court in what would be, because of the precedent it would set, a landmark case. The day before the hearing, the FBI said it had found a third party to assist in unlocking the iPhone and obtained delay. A week later, the FBI announced it had unlocked the phone and the case was dropped. What really happened? All the while, the companies which control the technologies of power grow in power. These are the technologies which impact our ability to think, speak, and travel, which impact the functioning of democratic processes and social justices. If the crypto-anarchist's dream is realized and large tech is superseded by decentralized autonomous organizations, then governments have a problem on their hands. This day, if it ever comes, is still a way away. For now, big tech and the big state are allied. That was originally a chapter in my book Daylight Robbery, How Tax Shaped Our Past and Will Change Our Future, which I ended up cutting out as I felt the book read better without it. I hope you enjoyed it all the same. It seems to have been rather prescient. Thanks very much for watching. Please subscribe to my channel for more highbrow content, and I'll be back with another video very soon.